Mutualistic and Parasitic Relationships Between Organisms by KayScience.com. A parasitic relationship is a relationship between two organisms where only one organism benefits. So this here is a dog, and these here are fleas. Fleas are parasites. So the fleas are going to find a way onto the dog so they can feed. So fleas are going to feed on the dog's blood and cause irritation to the dog as well. So fleas are going to feed on the dog's blood. The fleas do not benefit the dog. This is why the fleas are parasites. Let's now look inside the small intestine of the dog. So this here is the small intestine of the dog. And the dog has tapeworms living inside its small intestine. So these tapeworms, they attach themselves to the wall of the small intestine. So when the dog eats, the tapeworms are going to absorb the nutrients that pass through the small intestine of the dog. That means that the dog will not be able to absorb as many nutrients into its own bloodstream. So these tapeworms are going to prevent the dog from absorbing the nutrients into its bloodstream. So the tapeworm absorbs nutrients from the small intestine. And the parasite benefits. Only the tapeworm benefits. The dog does not benefit. This is why it is a parasitic relationship. Only one organism benefits from this relationship. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. So where parasites and parasitism is a relationship between two organisms in which only one organism benefits, mutualism or a mutualistic relationship is a relationship between two organisms from which both organisms benefit, and we're going to go through some examples. This here is a shark. Sharks have parasites on their skin. And these are fish called cleaner fish. They are small fish that eat the parasites from the shark. So these cleaner fish, they eat the parasites from the shark for food and nutrition. The shark benefits because it has less parasites on its skin. So this is a mutualistic relationship between the shark and the cleaner fish, whereby the cleaner fish eats the parasites from the shark for nutrition, and the shark will have fewer parasites due to the cleaner fish eating them. This here is an ox. An ox is a type of cow. And these here are parasites, such as fleas, living on the ox. This is a bird called an oxpecker. An oxpecker will land on the ox and it will eat the fleas or the parasites from the ox. So the oxpecker is going to eat the parasites for food and nutrition. And the ox allows this because the ox is going to have fewer parasites on its skin. And if the birds are on the cow, that means it's going to protect the bird. So this here is a mutualistic relationship whereby the oxpecker and the ox both benefit. These here are coral polyps. This is what coral polyps look like in real life. These here are coral polyps. And algae can live inside the coral polyps. Coral polyps and algae form a mutualistic relationship whereby both the algae and the coral polyps benefit. The coral polyps protect the algae because they live inside the coral polyps. And during photosynthesis, the algae are going to produce glucose. So the glucose can then be used by the coral polyps for respiration. So this is a mutualistic relationship whereby both organisms benefit because the algae provide glucose from photosynthesis and the coral polyps offer protection to the algae. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. This here is sea anemone. This is an image of sea anemone. And sea anemone are poisonous organisms that release a poison if they are touched. So this fish, if it enters the sea anemone, is going to be poisoned by the sea anemone and it will either swim away or it will die. This here is a clownfish. Clownfish are not affected by the poison released by sea anemone. This means clownfish can live in the sea anemone and lay their eggs. This means that their eggs are going to be safe in the sea anemone because no other organisms can enter the sea anemone and eat the clownfish or the eggs. So clownfish can lay their eggs in the sea anemone. That's how the clownfish benefit, because the sea anemone offers protection. The clownfish are going to pass feces in and around the sea anemone. So they're going to pass waste in and around the sea anemone. This acts as nutrition for the sea anemone. So this is a mutualistic relationship because both organisms benefit from the relationship. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. Press pause to practice using those key words. The answers will follow. Press pause to go through your answers and make any corrections to your mistakes. Press pause to answer the questions. The answers will follow. And if you're stuck, just re-watch the video. Press pause to go through your answers and make any corrections to your mistakes.